Representative Puglisi from the no side, what's your question to the yes side, and who are you asking it to?
Okay. Governor, Republicans have called for a special session since session ended. Are you willing to, you said yourself that Proposition HH is not the only way. Would you be willing to call a special session so that we can, in a very bipartisan way, because I agree with Mr. Laffer that this is not a partisan issue and should not have been done behind closed doors. If you can get the right people to the table, which I believe we can, would you call a special session so that we can fix this problem?
So, well, look, whether it's in January or whether it's in November or December, and whether Prop HH passes or not, I'm all for you guys doing more property tax relief, to be clear. I'm all for you guys cutting the income tax. I don't think you're going to see anything close to this size of a $13 billion property tax cut over 10 years that also has the truth of taxation cap on growth of property taxes. I'm a wild-eyed optimist, as you know, Marshall. If there's a drop of water in the cup, I say it's half full. But on this, I just say there's absolutely no way that I could see you guys doing a $13 billion tax cut package. And I trust the people to pass HH, and hopefully you'll be able to build on that next legislative session.
Yes.
I'll add to this. The special session probably wouldn't revolve around what the Republicans want, since the Democrats are in charge. So you can say you don't trust what they'll do, but if you called a special session, it would be the Democrats. So do you trust what Democrats might do?
Well, I don't know. I mean, again, since Republicans don't have to govern, they can say what they want here, but the minute their special districts and their counties are saying, you're cutting our budget, you're cutting our budget, I don't know how much of a backbone they have either. One of the things that HH does is it holds schools harmless. How much of a backbone do Republicans really want to cut the school budgets? I don't know. But yes, we deal with who we have in the legislature. Of course, I've only had a Democratic majority. I haven't had a Republican majority. Would they be any better? I have no idea. But I do know that we're in a better spot if we pass HH and try to build upon that with additional tax relief.
Last word by Representative Puglisi.
I take issue with the fact that local governments are being brought in like they're getting some sort of break here. So the state gets $0 from property tax. It's your local governments, your school districts, your special districts, your local county governments, where I used to be a county commissioner. I'm the only one who's actually allocated property taxes and had to build a budget around it. And what I want to say is, not only were they not at the table in this backroom deal, when they're the ones who actually rely on property taxes to provide essential services, but they care about their constituents too. When I talk to other county commissioners from across the state, what they're saying is, our people cannot afford more roads. You need to bring other solutions to the table. So it's not just about their budgets, they care about their people too.
Governor, Dr. Laffer, who's going to ask the question to the no side?
I could do that. I mean, so look, we were able to pass 121. We cut the income tax. That reduced the Tabor surplus by about $150 per person. This is an even bigger tax cut. Do tax cuts reduce the Tabor surplus? Of course they do, because they reduce the revenue. So why was that one okay and this one's not? Do you like cutting income taxes but not property taxes?
Yeah, so I think the answer to that is simply you have to look at the history of what went on, right? We used to have the Gallagher Amendment. It kept residential property taxes very low in our state. The governor, the legislature came in and said, we're going to freeze the rates, your property taxes won't go up. Right? And then we end up in this circumstance, we have 30 or 40% increases. They promised that they would come up with a solution to keep residential property taxes low. That did not happen. And therefore, this is why we're in the position we are, is this isn't really a cut. This is lowering the huge increase that we're going to see when they still have that promise from 2020 to actually fix this problem. There has been no cap. There has been no major drop to it, which is why people are about to see a 30 or 40% increase. So these are totally different scenarios. This is slightly lowering this and say, thank us, when we're still going to see a 30 or 40% higher bill next year. When people get their bill in the mail, it'll be 30 or 40% higher.
Would you rather see it 40 or 50% higher?
No,
I mean, what are you asking?
I would rather see it as a reasonable number, right?
Well,
this has to be single digit.
But that's a separate issue. Tax rate
no, it's
reduction.
not, because they have the power to do it.
No.
They can go in, call a special session, and say, we're only going to go up 10%.
And so therefore you're going to vote down HH because they don't do a special session. That's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
You throw there. You always, you never should let the best be the enemy of the good.
I didn't oppose one. I didn't oppose the income tax cut because it wasn't enough. Now you wrote it. I could blame you and said you should have made it 0.2, 0.25. You made it 0.13% cut. But I still supported it. Would I have loved if you made it 0.2? I would have loved it, but you didn't. So look, is it enough? Can we do more? HH is a strong start. $13 billion of tax cuts is not a rounding error. This will lead to greater economic productivity in our state.
Go look at the Common Sense Institute study. It shows this is a tax increase. If you look at till 2040, it's a $21 billion more that the government can keep. This is growing government. It's not shrinking government. You have to look at the numbers. The governor wants you to look at the first 2 years and say, this is what's going to happen. They don't want you to look at the 30% increase. They don't want you to look at the Tabor refunds you're going to be giving up. This is a tax increase.
In no way, shape, or form is this a tax increase. So let me go to
Absolutely a tax
Rose's point.
increase.
Here's how we hit these numbers of $13 billion. We don't fully backfill districts that have had major appreciation. So if you live in an area and your property values went up 40%, yes, we go to the county, we go to the library district and say, you know what, do you really deserve 40% over 2 years? People's incomes went up 10, 12%. We give it, it's a haircut. They still get 35%, 34%. It depends on the formula. They get part of that windfall, just not the whole thing. The rest of the windfall will go back to the homeowners under HH and reduce the property tax rate.